Have you noticed the price at the pump creeping up again? You're not alone. It seems like gas prices have a mind of their own. One day, they're down, and the next, they're way up again. But why is this happening? Today, we're diving into the real reasons gas prices are on the rise. And spoiler, it's not just because the oil companies are being greedy. Let's start with some basics. Gas prices are driven by the cost of crude oil, which makes up about 50 to 60% of the price at the pump. When crude oil prices go up, so does the price of gas. And just like anything else, if there's more demand and less supply, the price tends to go up too. But here's where it gets interesting. The global oil market is volatile. When global demand increases, like when economies are bouncing back after recessions, or when more people are traveling, think of the summer months, oil producers need increased production. However, in the last few months, some countries have been cutting back on oil production. Why? Because many oil-producing countries are trying to maintain higher prices for their own benefit. Take OPEC, or the long version, Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, led by countries like Saudi Arabia and Russia. They've been controlling supply by cutting output to keep prices higher. These kinds of decisions influence the global oil market and can increase gas prices around the world. Why? Because less supply usually means higher prices, plain and simple. But that's not the whole story. Geopolitical tensions play a huge role as well. For instance, conflicts in Ukraine have disrupted Russian oil exports, which also affects countries relying on that oil. Similarly, political decisions in oil-rich regions like the Middle East can quickly change the supply and drive up costs. And let's not forget about global politics. The push towards renewable energy in places like the EU and the US has led to reduced investments in fossil fuels over time. Governments are imposing stricter environmental regulations, and sometimes those policies force refineries to adopt new technologies, increasing their operating costs. In turn, these costs are passed on to consumers. It's not all bad though. Renewables are great, but the transition period can lead to higher gas prices in the short term. Okay, so you've got the global market affecting supply, but here's the part many people don't consider. Refining issues. Gas isn't just pumped up out of the ground and straight into your car. It has to go through a refining process before it's ready to hit your tank. And that process can be impacted by things like weather, maintenance, and even changes in environmental regulations. Every year when we hit summer driving season, the demand for gas spikes, and refineries are expected to produce more of that summer-grade gasoline. And guess what? That tends to cost more. Now, let's take a quick detour and talk about the pipeline chain, or the journey that oil takes from the ground to the pump. First, exploration happens. Companies like ExxonMobil, Chevron, and Royal Dutch Shell extract oil from the ground. Then comes the transportation stage, where oil is moved from drilling sites to refineries, often through pipelines like the controversial Keystone XL pipeline. After refining, oil is transported again, often by tanker ships or trucks, to your local gas stations. This whole pipeline is subject to disruptions, whether it's extreme weather, political decisions, or supply chain issues. Finally, we can't ignore inflation. We've all seen how prices are rising for just about everything, right? From food to housing to labor costs, inflation has hit almost every sector. Gas is no exception. As refineries and oil companies deal with inflation, they raise prices to maintain profit margins. Add on rising transportation costs, and those higher prices at the pump begin to make sense. Chevron, BP, and Shell have all faced criticism in recent months for posting record profits during times when consumers are feeling the pinch at the gas station. Gas prices will likely continue to fluctuate, but if this video helped clear things up, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends who are probably complaining at the pump too. And if you've got any thoughts about rising gas prices or a request for a video, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think.